The biggest news, I think, right now is Conor. Obviously it's always Conor. Everything he does is huge news. But it's interesting, and I want to get into this a little bit because I've done some research, and I have a little bit of insight on this. But Conor basically got publicly smeared by Poirier. And here's the funny thing is, Conor's got to understand, Conor hasn't played by the rules ever when it comes to talking bad about people. So, hats off to Dustin for using that and doing what he can. He obviously really got under Conor's skin. I don't think he's faking it. And Conor went from, I'm going to beat your ass, to F you, I'm not even going to give you the fight anymore, so that you can go back to your old contract. So you can tell it's real. You can tell that it's like, it may create a build up to a fight, but it is real. Conor is pissed off that, he was supposed to donate this money, and Dustin's saying he hasn't done it. And Conor doesn't like that because Conor's the money guy, and he likes to show that that he's charitable and this, that, and the other. Another interesting thing on just my perspective before I get yours is that, Conor changed again. We saw Conor be Mr. Classy in his last fight and be over the top Mr. Nice Guy. And it took like 1 second to go back to like hillbilly piece of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like he lost his class in a matter of like a second.
Yeah. It's crazy how fast that can happen, huh?
Yeah.
I hope that no matter how rich, famous, good I become, this, that I never lose that grip or that reality, or someone could get that out of me and just that quick, but, we're all dealing with different things. For him, it played well for the second fight, I guess, the Nice Guy Act. It was all right for, because it was something different. We hadn't seen it in a while, and we had so much hatred in the Khabib fight. You kind of, whatever, you don't mind seeing some, respect, in the fight game. It's what it was brought up on, I think, originally. But if for some reason, man, you could just tell that all that was bullshit, I think, in the second fight.
Yeah.
It didn't last long, and all it took was a couple comments to really get under the skin. It's like everybody's a nice guy when you're winning, but when you come on after a knockout and then they come at you again, it's a little different, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very easy to be a nice guy when things are good. But when you catch the wrong side of a knockout and then all of a sudden someone attacks your character over a donation, but what else is the guy going to do? I'm not so familiar with the ins and outs of the team sending what they were going to do. Of course, I respect Conor for his opinion on, wanting to see where the money's going to go. You're spending $500,000, you want to know. But that's where I'm, I don't know the details so much, but yeah, credit. I would have said the same shit if I was Dustin. Like, listen, man, you're talking. Let alone, I'm the type of guy myself that if I'm going to do something like that or make donations, I try to generally not go public about things like that.
Yeah,
it's not like something I care to like announce. If it gets out, whatever. But I mean, I did like a speech the other day talking to some kids, and they wanted to get like a newspaper guy there. I'm like, I don't want any publicity from talking to some kids. That's not why I'm doing it. If it helps promote your school and things like that, okay, great. But everyone's built differently like that. I try not to judge. The biggest thing is that they're all donating, right? Whether they're the loudmouth or not, as long as they're donating, it's good cause. So, it's just kind of weird how it all went down. And it's funny because if you really don't like guy, he's really pissing you off. It's like he's pissing you off to the point so much that you don't want to fight him because you don't want to give him the payday. How funny is that dynamic?
Yeah, it's interesting. He can do that though, and he's upset.
Yeah.
And you know what? Again, I'm bagging on Conor a little bit for going back to the non-classy Conor and stuff like that. But I will say this. I had a 501c3. I just didn't have time to pursue it. And I will say there is a lot of fraud in these foundations. And the foundation, now this is all opinionated. I did some research and I looked up Dustin's foundation. So this is all opinionated. Don't quote me on this, everybody. But this is my best opinion of what's going on here from my experience with a 501c3, doing donations and working with foundations and all this type of thing. And this isn't saying anything about Dustin because I don't know how he runs his company, but this is the situation. The situation is he formed a foundation that is usually, like a lot of times, formed to scam, kind of, if that makes sense. And the reason I say that is, Conor could donate to a foundation that specifically builds water wells for children or specifically feeds children or whatever else. And all they do every day is feed children. And then they publicize how much percentage of the actual money they take in goes to feeding children. And then how much goes to salaries and expenses and stuff like that. It could be any amount, but there's no policing the 501c3, so they can do whatever they want. The way that Dustin did it is kind of the shady way, though I'm not saying Dustin's shady in any way. But what happens is it's when you decided to create a foundation so that you can start giving away to many different foundations of your choosing, not any specific one, and you don't list who you're going to give them to. You just decide to do as you will. And then you're giving away other people's money. So you're taking in donations, then you're giving the money. So you're getting all the credit. Like, for instance, the Good Fight would be getting all the credit for, when you go to their website, they've donated to, food banks. They've donated to feed the hungry. They've donated to police officers that had an issue. One of the police officers that had an issue. They've donated to so many different foundations. But at the end of the day, Dustin Poirier being the president, he chooses where that money goes. And if he gets $500,000 from Conor, that money just goes into an account tax-free, and Dustin has a choice of where he's going to spend that money. And there's no way he can possibly know right now where that money is going to go, because it's a lot of money. He's not going to give one foundation $500,000. It's probably going to be over the course of a year or 2 years. So he couldn't have possibly told Conor where that money's going. And in that situation, it does say on the page for the Good Fight that none of the money goes to salaries or to pay for the employees. It all goes to the movement and donating and all that. But that doesn't say there's not expenses. And where people in the past that are celebrities or high-profile people have got away with benefiting from companies like this, where they have all the power to donate to whoever they want and nobody can police them, whether they want to use however much in expenses, is like, for instance, say they want to donate to the Rescue Rhino Project in Africa, right? So say, not Dustin, again, this is nothing against Dustin or his company, this is all speculation, but say I had the foundation and I want to go to Africa and have like a 2-week vacation to Africa and see some awesome animals and take my staff and have fun and go visit all these crazy animals in Africa and do some cool stuff and look good and get publicity for donating to the Rescue Rhino Project. I would be taking other people's money, traveling to Africa, expensing the entire trip out. I could still not take a salary and not pay my staff, but yeah, we could fly on a private jet, or we could fly first class to Africa, go on safaris, do anything that we can associate as being a part of this whole giving money to the Rescue Rhino Project. Then we could donate $25,000 to the project or $50,000 and do some photos. And that's still all legit. There's no policing it. There's no one that's going to say, you shouldn't have flown private. You shouldn't have went first class. You shouldn't have done stuff. So in the past, this is where people have really took advantage of the expense side of these foundations. And also, I don't know how much money Dustin's put in, but he is taking a lot of donations, which means a lot of the donations that Dustin Poirier's company is actually giving has been given to him. So he's getting kind of credit for money that's been taken in. So if Conor gives him $500,000 for the next 2 years, he's going to look like a saint donating all this money to all these organizations and getting all these hookups and getting all this publicity, and it's all Conor's money. So you have to understand on that regard, Conor would have to be worried about where that money is going, and Dustin can't possibly tell him because it's just too much money.
Yeah, no, that's interesting points you brought up. I wasn't aware of most of those things either, but yeah, I guess it just comes down to, the guy's integrity, you say, and then Dustin's, if you're going to donate that type of money. But, yeah, I mean, when you go public on it, man,
it's crazy.
It's just at some point, you can't blame the guy for doing his due diligence on a $500,000 donation. Right. But, I tell you what, all this is going to make for a hell of a fight should they step in the octagon. It's just going to add to, more views, more clicks, more eyes on the fight, if it even happens. But we'll see at this point. Conor's retired already. He does a lot in the media. He plays with the media, man. As someone had said, almost like the Kardashians, and I could see it. He knows how to manipulate the media in his favor. It's just going to make for a hell of a fight, man. Both these guys, get them off the social media, get them in the octagon, what they do best, right?